The house at the edge of Ashwood Forest. I barely knew my uncle. He was a specter that haunted the edges of our family gatherings, a name that was whispered rather than spoken. Growing up, he was the relative that everyone seemed to want to forget, a dark smudge on our otherwise pristine family portrait. My mother would refer to him as ill, but she never elaborated on what that meant. Her voice would drop to a hushed tone, as if the very words were too delicate to be spoken aloud. My grandmother, a woman of stern looks and even sterner silences, would simply shake her head whenever his name was mentioned, her eyes cast down as if remembering a storm that had blown through and taken a piece of her with it. But I do remember him, vaguely. His image is a blurred Polaroid in my mind, faded and yellowed with time. He smelled like a campfire long since extinguished, the scent of smoke and old leaves clinging to him like a second skin. There's one memory, hazy and indistinct, that stands out from the rest. I was maybe 7, small and curious, my hair tied back in a loose ponytail. He was sitting on the porch of my grandparents' place, a long knife in his hand, the blade gleaming in the sunlight. He was sharpening it, the metal singing as it kissed the stone. He hummed something tuneless, a melody that seemed to dance just out of reach, impossible to grasp. I must have made a noise, some small gasp or shuffle, because he looked up at me. He smiled, his lips pulling back to reveal gums empty of teeth, and said, "Careful, girl. The woods remember things." And that was it. That was all I knew of him. He drifted out of our lives not long after, a ghost that had finally found peace. Or so I thought. 3 months ago, I received a phone call that would upend my world. The voice on the other end was smooth, professional, a man who introduced himself as Mr. Thompson from the law firm of Thompson and Associates. He informed me that I was the sole heir to my uncle's estate. I laughed, a sharp bark of disbelief. What estate? The uncle I knew was a drifter, a man who owned little more than the clothes on his back. But Mr. Thompson was insistent. The paperwork was in order, he said. My uncle had lived out the last 10 years of his life in a house at the edge of a place called Ashwood Forest, in a town I'd never heard of. He had died in his sleep. No next of kin, no debts, no real assets except the house. And me. I was next of kin. At first, I thought it was a scam, some elaborate plot to steal my identity or swindle me out of what little money I had. But the paperwork checked out. The keys arrived in a padded envelope, a brittle yellowed letter tucked inside. The letter read, "The house belongs to blood. You won't understand yet, but you'll see. Stay until the 13th night. After that, choose M." There was no address, just GPS coordinates scrawled in the shaky hand. I wasn't planning to go. I had a life, a job, an apartment filled with things that were mine. But then, things started to fall apart. I lost my job, a casualty of corporate downsizing. My relationship crumbled. The love that had once seemed so strong, now little more than dust in my hands. I was behind on rent, the late notices piling up like snowdrifts. The idea of owning anything, let alone a whole house, even if it was probably falling apart, felt like a lifeline thrown to a drowning woman. So I packed up what little I had and pointed my car north. The town of Graven Hollow was barely a blip on the map. One gas station, a diner that looked like it hadn't been updated since the 1950s, and a hardware store that doubled as the post office. The locals eyed me with a mixture of curiosity and wariness, their gazes lingering just a little too long. When I asked about Ashwood Forest, the cashier, a woman with a name tag that read Martha, gave me a look that was equal parts pity and fear. "You sure about that?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. But she gave me vague directions and a bottle of water, her hands shaking slightly as she rang up my purchase. I followed the cracked road out past the last rusted mailbox until the trees swallowed everything. The forest was dense, the canopy above blocking out most of the sunlight, casting everything in a gloomy half-light. The air's thick with the scent of pine and damp earth, the silence broken only by the crunch of gravel under my tires. The house wasn't what I expected. I had imagined something small, decrepit, a shack with a creaking porch and a roof that sagged under the weight of years. Instead, it was tall and narrow, like a storybook witch's cottage stretched to improbable heights. The dark green paint was flaking off old wood siding, the sharp corners and steep roof giving it an air of foreboding. The windows were like eyes, watching me as I approached, their glass panes reflecting the darkening sky. It sat at the very edge of the forest, as if it had grown from the earth itself, a twisted fairy tale come to life. The inside smelled like dust and cedar, with something sweet and rotting underneath, like a bowl of fruit left out too long. The air felt thick, heavy with a presence that I couldn't quite put my finger on. I told myself I'd stay for a week, take pictures, talk to a real estate agent, maybe fix it up and flip it, make a profit and start over somewhere new. That first night, I didn't sleep well. The house groaned and creaked, the old wood settling in the cool night air. I chalked it up to the wind, to the natural sounds of an old house breathing. But then came the tapping. It started the second night. Tap, 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 soft, deliberate, just behind my headboard. I got up thinking maybe it was a branch against the siding, but the window outside my room didn't face any trees, just the forest. 10 feet of clearing, then black bark and shadows. I walked the perimeter with my flashlight, the beam of light cutting through the darkness like a knife. Nothing. Back in bed, the tapping returned. This time, it was faster. Tap, 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 like someone sending a message in code. I moved to the guest room that night, the sound of the tapping echoing in my ears long after it had stopped. On the third day, I found the basement. The door was behind a bookshelf that swung out on stiff hinges, the wood in protest. I don't know why I even tried to move it, except that something about the wall felt wrong, like it was hiding something. The stairs were stone and curved, damp and echoing. I should have turned back the second I saw what was down there. Jars. Dozens of glass jars lining crude wooden shelves, each sealed tight, filled with cloudy fluid and things that floated. Bits of bone, yellowed teeth, curls of hair. I thought it was animal stuff. Maybe my uncle was into taxidermy, I told myself. I didn't look too closely. I didn't want to. There was a journal on the work table, the pages smeared and warped from moisture, but I could read enough. It only answers to blood. It remembers. She walks at dusk now. I hear her humming in the trees. I saw her face in the mirror. It wasn't mine. That night, I dreamed of someone standing at the edge of the clearing, arms too long, mouth wide open, but no sound coming out, just humming. A tuneless melody that seemed to echo through the forest, bouncing off the trees and reverberating in my skull. By the fifth night, I'd stopped using the lights. They flickering anyway, casting eerie shadows on the walls, turning familiar objects into sinister shapes. And somehow, the darkness felt safer. Like the house was quieter when it wasn't being watched. I started leaving candles burning instead, one in each room, like little watchmen standing guard against the night. And it worked, for a while, until I found the door in the attic. It wasn't there before, I swear it. I'd checked the attic on my first day, just boxes, dust, old furniture. But now, at the far wall, behind an old dresser, was a narrow wooden door with iron hinges. No knob. just a ring handle, cold as ice. I shouldn't have opened it. I should have turned around, packed my bags, and left. But I didn't. I couldn't. Some morbid curiosity compelled me forward, my hand reaching out to grasp the cold metal. The hallway beyond was too long to fit in the house. It sloped slightly downward, lit by hanging bulbs that buzzed and pulsed like living things. The walls were damp stone, like a cave. I walked maybe 50 feet before I heard the humming again. Not in my head. Not imagined. It was coming from somewhere up ahead, soft and feminine and wrong, like a lullaby sung in reverse. I turned and ran. The door slammed shut behind me on its own. I had to throw my shoulder into it to open it again. When I did, the hallway was gone. Just wood paneling, dust. The attic was normal again. But I wasn't. I couldn't shake the feeling of unease, the sense that something was watching me, waiting. By the 7th day, I knew I wasn't alone in the house. Mirrors showed glimpses of movement where there shouldn't be any. Footsteps came from the floors above me when I was upstairs. I stopped checking. I didn't want to know. I started noticing something else, too. I wasn't scared the way I should have been, not exactly. It was like the fear had calcified, turned into a kind of numbness. I'd find myself staring at the walls for hours, not thinking, not moving. Sometimes I'd wake up in a different room than where I fell asleep. Once I woke up with dirt under my fingernails and no idea why. I found myself drawn to the basement, to the jars and their grim contents. I told myself it was morbid fascination, but it felt like something more, something darker. On the 9th night, someone knocked on the front door. It was 2:13 a.m., 3 knocks, slow, even. I didn't move. I just stood in the hallway, staring at the door. Then a voice, soft, melodic, familiar.
You stayed longer than he did.
It was a woman. Her voice was like a song, a haunting melody that seemed to echo through the house.
We remember blood. We like when it stays.
Then silence. I waited, my heart pounding in my chest. When I finally opened the door, there was no one there. But the candle I kept on the entry table had been blown out, a thin wisp of smoke curling up from the wick. I tried to leave on the 10th day, packed my car, started the engine, drove down the gravel path toward the highway, or tried to. I drove for over an hour in one direction, but every time I passed a fork in the road, I'd see it. The mailbox with the iron bird on top. My uncle's mailbox. I was circling. No GPS signal, no reception. The woods weren't letting me go. I felt a rising panic, a claustrophobia that gripped my chest like a vice. I pulled over, my breath coming in ragged gasps. I couldn't stay here. I couldn't. But the woods had other plans. The journal changed after that. The writing became mine. I swear to you, I didn't write in it. But I found pages written in my handwriting. She's under the house. She's waiting for me to open the floorboards. I think I'm the last. I think the house is learning my shape. The final entry read, "The 13th night is the choosing. She always offers. Some say yes, some say no. The ones who say no scream the longest. Tonight is the 13th night. I can feel her in the walls." Humming again, The candles don't help anymore. They flicker violently. Some go out completely when I enter a room. I walked past a mirror just now and caught a glimpse of myself, smiling, but I wasn't. And just now, as I'm writing this, there's a knock at the attic door. Not the one to the hallway, the real one. 3 knocks, slow, even. She's here, and I think she's going to ask me something, and I think I'm going to say yes. I can feel her presence, a cold chill that seems to seep into my very bones. The humming is louder now, an insistent melody that fills my head, drowning out all other thoughts. I stand up, the chair scraping against the floor, the sound echoing through the silent house. My feet move of their own accord, carrying me toward the attic door. The knock comes again. 3 slow, deliberate raps. I reach out, my hand trembling as I grasp the cold metal handle. I turn it, the door creaking open to reveal the dark staircase beyond. The stairs are steep, the wood creaking under my weight. I climb them slowly, my heart pounding in my chest. The air grows colder, the humming louder. I reach the top, the attic sprawling out before me, shrouded in darkness. And there in the far corner is a figure, a woman, her form hazy and indistinct, like a memory half forgotten. She turns to look at me, her eyes like pools of darkness. She smiles, her lips pulling back to reveal teeth that are too sharp, too many. "You came," she says, her voice like the rustling of leaves, the whisper of the wind. "I knew you would." I try to speak, but my voice catches in my throat. I clear it, try again. "What do you want?" She tilts her head, her eyes never leaving mine. "I want what is owed, what is due. Blood remembers, child, and I have not forgotten." I shake my head, my brow furrowing in confusion. "I don't understand. What do you mean, blood remembers?" She takes a step forward, her form seeming to solidify with each movement. "This land is old, child. Old and hungry. It feeds on blood, on the essence of those who walk upon it. Your uncle knew this. He tried to bargain, to cheat his fate. But the land always takes what is owed." I take a step back, my heel catching on the edge of the stair. I stumble, catch myself on the railing. "What does this have to do with me?" She laughs, a sound like shattering glass. "Everything, child. You are of his blood. His debt is yours. And tonight, you must choose. Stay and feed the land with your essence, or leave and feed it with your screams." I stare at her, my mind racing. This can't be real. It can't. But I can feel it deep in my bones. The truth of her words. The weight of this ancient debt. I think of the jars in the basement, the bits of bone and teeth, the remnants of those who came before me, who chose to stay, to feed the land with their essence. I think of the humming, the tapping, the sense of being watched. The house, the woods, the very air around me seems to hold its breath, waiting for my answer. I take a deep breath, my decision made. I look the woman in the eyes, my voice steady and sure. "I choose to stay." She smiles, her eyes gleaming in the darkness. "Good," she says, her voice like the sighing of the wind. "Very good." And with that, she reaches out, her hand cupping my cheek. Her touch is cold, like the chill of the grave. I close my eyes, a sense of peace washing over me. This is right. This is how it should be. I am of this land, this house, and it is of me. I open my eyes, the woman gone, the attic empty save for the shadows that dance in the moonlight. I turn, descending the stairs, the humming fading to a soft, comforting melody. I reach the bottom, the door creaking shut behind me, and I know, with a certainty that fills my very soul, that I am home. The days that follow are a blur of activity. I clean the house, scrubbing away the years of dust and grime. I repair the rotting wood, the crumbling plaster. I tend to the garden, the plants seeming to flourish under my touch. And all the while I hum. The melody is always there, always present, a comforting companion in the silence. I find myself smiling more, laughing even. I am happy here, truly happy for the first time in my life. The townsfolk seem to notice the change as well. They no longer stare at me with wariness, but with something akin to respect. They bring me gifts, offerings of food and flowers. They tell me stories of my uncle, of the man he was before the land took him. And I listen, my heart swelling with pride and love. This is my family, my heritage, and I will not let it be forgotten. The nights are filled with dreams, vivid and intense. I see the woman, her form no longer hazy, but solid, real. She guides me through the woods, showing me the secrets of the land, the ancient magic that pulses beneath the earth. She teaches me the old ways, the rituals and rites that have been passed down through generations. And I learn, my mind eager and open,